Have you ever wondered how something as simple as your daily shower routine could quietly shave years off your life or add them back? It's easy to think that once we're past a certain age, we've got the basics down, right? We've been bathing ourselves since we were kids, and by now, we figure we know what we're doing. But here's the hard truth. Most seniors, yes, even the well-groomed ones, are skipping key areas of their body without realizing it, and those forgotten. Spots can become breeding grounds for infections, chronic inflammation, and even serious disease. Shocking, isn't it? It caught me off guard too, and I've always prided myself on being neat as a pin. But it turns out, staying clean isn't just about smelling fresh or looking tidy. It's about survival. In our 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into our 90s, our skin gets thinner, our immune systems shift, and our body's natural barriers don't work quite like they used to. Something that might have been a minor irritation in our 40s could turn into a full-blown health crisis now. I've seen it happen with friends of mine, quiet little skin issues that started with neglecting the folds behind their knees or unders, the breasts that spiraled into hospital visits and months of antibiotics. We're not talking about luxury grooming here. This is life-preserving hygiene, and it starts with knowing the parts of the body that matter most. I've spent a lot of time reading studies, talking to dermatologists, and reflecting on what worked and didn't for people in our age group. And I want to pass that on to you because this isn't just about staying clean. It's about staying here longer, healthier, and more independent. There's something deeply empowering about realizing that with just a little attention to detail in your daily routine, you can lower your risk of infection, improve circulation, boost your immune response, and even increase your lifespan. We're going to talk about 5 body parts that must be washed every single day. And no, they're not the ones you might be thinking of, but we're not diving into a lecture here. I want this to feel like the kind of conversation you'd have over coffee at your neighbor's kitchen table, the way folks used to share wisdom back when neighbors sat and talked instead of texting emojis. Because this is the kind of knowledge that used to get passed down quietly from one generation to the next, and somehow we've lost some of that along the way. So let's bring it back. Let's reclaim our power, one washcloth at a time. Now, the first place we need to talk about is the area behind your ears. And I'm not just talking about giving them a quick swipe during your shower. I mean, really cleaning behind your ears, in the folds, the grooves, and right at the base where the skin meets your neck. You see, this area is often overlooked because we don't see it in the mirror, and it doesn't usually smell or itch unless there's already a problem. But that's exactly the danger. It quietly collects oil, dead skin, sweat, and bacteria. And the skin there is surprisingly vulnerable as we age. It's thinner, with less natural oil production, which makes it more susceptible to cracking, irritation, and even fungal infections. I remember when my old friend Harold started complaining about a rash on his neck that just wouldn't go away. He thought it was his aftershave, so he switched brands, then stopped using it altogether. But the rash stayed. Turned out it wasn't the aftershave. It was buildup behind his ears that had migrated down his neck, causing a low-grade bacterial infection. Once he started gently washing behind his ears every day with warm water and a soft cloth, drying the area thoroughly, and applying a mild moisturizer, the rash disappeared within a week. He couldn't believe it. He said, "All that fuss, and it was something so simple." And that's the truth for many of us. The solution isn't complicated, it's just often hidden in the places we forget to look. And here's a little bonus for those of you who wear glasses. Cleaning behind your ears daily can also help prevent those little pressure sores or irritations that sometimes pop up where the frames rest. So, whether you're using a bar of soap, like the kind we grew up with, remember Ivory? Or one of those fancy, fragrance-free washes the dermatologist recommended, the key is consistency. Every day. Because that 5 seconds of attention can make the difference between a small skin irritation and a systemic infection. And remember, it's not just about the ears, it's about what this attention symbolizes. When we slow down and care for these forgotten parts of our body, we're sending a message to ourselves that we still matter, that we're not invisible, and that our well-being is worth protecting. Now that's just one spot, but it sets the stage for everything that follows. Because once you start thinking differently about how you wash your body, you start seeing new ways to protect your health, strengthen your independence, and feel more in control of your aging journey. And next, we'll be talking about an area that doctors quietly worry about in seniors more than almost any other, one that can cause odor, infection, and even affect your balance if left unwashed. You might be surprised by what it is, but trust me, once you hear why it matters, you'll never overlook it again. And that brings us right to the next spot that's quietly making a bigger impact on our health than most people realize: our feet. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Of course I wash my feet. I stand in the shower, the water hits them, the soap runs down, it's all good. But here's the truth. Most folks our age don't want to hear. Letting the water and suds slide down over your feet isn't the same as actually washing them. And as we get older, ignoring our feet can lead to serious consequences. Let's face it, our circulation slows down with age, especially in our lower extremities. That means our feet are already at a disadvantage when it comes to fighting off infection and healing properly. Combine that with less flexibility, which makes it harder for many of us to bend down and really scrub between our toes, and suddenly we're talking about a health risk that hides in plain sight. I had a neighbor named Luis, good guy, Vietnam, vet, tough as nails. But he ignored a small sore between his toes that started out looking like nothing, just a little redness. 2 weeks later, it had turned into a fungal infection so aggressive he needed a round of antibiotics and special shoes just to walk without pain. All because he hadn't been drying properly between his toes after his showers and wasn't actively scrubbing the area each day. The feet are a perfect environment for bacteria and fungi to thrive. Warm, dark, often damp if we're not careful. And the skin there is tougher, meaning dirt and dead cells can build up fast. And if you're someone who wears slippers all day or keeps socks on for long hours, even indoors, that moisture builds and builds. Washing your feet daily, really washing them, means using your hands or a washcloth, gently scrubbing the tops, the soles, the heels, and most importantly, between each toe. And don't forget the toenails. Dirt and bacteria love to collect underneath them, especially if trimming gets neglected. That's where infections can start that sometimes travel up the leg if left untreated. Now, I know some of us have arthritis, balance issues, or limited range of motion, and bending over in the shower feels like a circus act. That's okay. There are tools to help: long-handled sponges, foot scrubbers that stick to the floor of the tub, or even sitting on a shower bench to reach comfortably. The point isn't to struggle, it's to adapt. And after washing, drying is just as important. Always dry thoroughly, especially between the toes, because trapped moisture is like a welcome mat for athlete's foot and other fungal issues. If you use lotion, keep it on the top and bottom of your feet, but avoid between the toes where it can build up and create problems. And if you live alone, I encourage you to keep a small mirror nearby so you can check the bottoms of your feet regularly. It's an easy habit to build into your routine, and it could save you from catching a small issue too late. Our feet are our foundation, literally. They carry us through our days, they support our balance, and yet they're one of the most overlooked parts of the body when it comes to proper care. Washing them daily helps keep them strong, healthy, and responsive. And when our feet feel better, we move more. And movement at our age is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity. I'm not saying we all need to start running laps around the block, but I will say this: when your feet are comfortable and cared for, you're far more likely to take that afternoon stroll, dance in the kitchen while waiting for your tea, or climb those few extra steps without wincing, and all of that adds up. Now, while we're still thinking about the lower half of the body, let's shift our attention to another place that, frankly, a lot of people shy away from talking about. But we're not going to do that here. We're adults. We've lived through wars, recessions, grandbabies, heartbreaks, and holidays. We can certainly talk about the area between the legs. That's right, I'm talking about your private parts, and yes, they need special daily attention. Not just a rinse, but thoughtful, gentle cleaning, especially given how delicate that area becomes with age. For men, this means retracting the foreskin if present, gently cleaning around and underneath, and making sure everything is thoroughly rinsed and dried. For women, especially those post-menopause, the skin can become thinner, more sensitive, and more prone to irritation. This doesn't mean scrubbing hard or using perfume products. In fact, doing so can cause more harm than good. Gentle, fragrance-free. Soap and warm water are usually all that's needed, and again, drying the area fully afterward is crucial. I had a friend, Diane, in her late 70s, who developed recurring irritation and assumed it was just part of aging. But it turned out she was using the same soap she had been using for decades, one with a heavy scent that was too harsh for her now sensitive skin. Once she switched to a mild pH balance cleanser and made it part of her daily wash, the irritation vanished. This area is especially important because it's connected to both our urinary and reproductive systems, and cleanliness here helps prevent urinary tract infections, which are not only more common in seniors, but can also become dangerous quickly if they spread to the kidneys. And for those managing incontinence, even occasionally, daily cleaning becomes even more essential, not just for comfort, but for dignity, which matters deeply at any age. And let me just say this, because I know some of you need to hear it. Taking care of yourself this way isn't vanity. It's wisdom, it's resilience, it's self-respect. These daily rituals are small affirmations that we're still in charge of our bodies, no matter what the calendar says. And if you're thinking, well, I live alone, no one sees me anyway, let me remind you that the person who matters most is the one who stares back at you in the mirror. So far, we've uncovered the power of simple acts, like washing behind, the ears, scrubbing and drying our feet, and caring for our most private areas, with a level of attention that protects our health in profound ways. But there are still two more places that are often overlooked and may surprise you, and they can affect everything from your immune system to your posture to your energy levels. We're going to talk about them next, and I'll also share a few clever ways to make these habits easier, no matter your physical limitations. Stick with me. You won't want to miss what's coming. And now we come to a place on the body that might not seem all that important at first glance, but trust me when I say this. It has far more influence over your health than you'd expect. I'm talking about your underarms. Yes, the armpits. We tend to associate them only with odor and deodorant, but there's a lot more going on under there, especially for those of us in our 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. The skin in your underarms is soft, folded, and naturally dark and moist, making it a prime location for bacteria and yeast to thrive. And while a bit of body odor now and then is normal, what's not normal, and what often gets dismissed, is the way bacterial buildup in that area can seep into the lymph nodes, cause recurring irritation, and even trigger swelling in folks with weakened immune systems. Now here's the kicker. Our lymph nodes, which help filter toxins from our bodies, are clustered right under the armpits. If we're not keeping that area clean, we're potentially clogging a key part of our immune system's drainage network. Think of it like this. If you had a rain gutter that got filled with leaves and gunk, you wouldn't expect it to work properly during a storm, right? Same principle here. Daily washing helps reduce bacterial load and supports the body's ability to flush toxins. I once knew a woman named Thelma, sharp as a tack and always wore bright scarves, but she used to complain about chronic fatigue and swollen glands. She went through all kinds of tests, saw 3 different doctors, and nothing came up conclusive. It wasn't until she started seeing a holistic nurse practitioner who asked her about her hygiene habits that they realized she had recurring inflammation from clogged sweat ducts and poor underarm hygiene. Turns out she had arthritis in her shoulders and had quietly stopped scrubbing her armpits thoroughly because it hurt to lift her arms above her head. Once she adapted her shower setup with a handheld sprayer and started using a soft washcloth to gently clean the area daily without needing to lift too high, the swelling went down, her energy improved, and her doctor was amazed. The point is, when we ignore these seemingly minor habits, we invite larger health issues to creep in under the radar. And this is especially true for anyone who's struggled with weight, diabetes, or immune disorders. Underarm care is not about smelling good. It's about protecting your body's detox systems. And don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to switch to some fancy crystal deodorant unless you want to. But I will suggest that after washing, you gently dry the area and let it breathe for a few minutes before applying any product. And if you've been using the same deodorant for 40 years and it suddenly starts irritating you, that might be a sign to switch to something gentler. Your skin changes, and your products should too. Now, before we move on, I want you to take a second and think about your daily washing routine. Do you actually scrub your underarms, or do you just pass over them while focusing on the rest of the body? Be honest. No shame here. We've all rushed through the motions. But these small changes, spending an extra 10 seconds to gently clean and dry the underarms, can help you feel fresher, reduce your risk of infection, and support your body's internal systems in ways you can actually feel. And that leads us to perhaps the most surprising area of all, your belly button. That's right, the humble navel. It sounds silly at first. How can something so small have such an impact? But the truth is, the belly button is like a little pocket where sweat, oil, dead skin, lint, and bacteria all love to collect, especially if you've got a deeper navel or some extra weight around the middle. And because it's tucked in, it can go unnoticed for days or even weeks. I'll tell you, I didn't pay much attention to mine for years. I figured, I'm clean enough, what's the big deal? But then one day I noticed a faint odor that wouldn't go away, no matter how much I washed the rest of me. Turns out I hadn't been cleaning my navel properly. When I gently swabbed it out with a warm washcloth and a bit of mild soap, I couldn't believe what came out of there. And after that, the smell vanished. It made me wonder how many folks out there are walking around with belly buttons that haven't been cleaned in weeks or even months. If you've ever had a little itch around your waist and couldn't figure out why, this could be the culprit. The skin in and around the navel is delicate, and buildup in that area can cause redness, irritation, or even small cysts. And for those with diabetes, even a small infection in this area can turn dangerous if not caught early. So, take a minute each day, yes, every day, to gently clean in and around your belly button. Use a damp washcloth or even a cotton swab if the area is small or deep. Rinse thoroughly and dry completely. If it's especially sensitive, you might skip the soap and just use warm water and follow up with a dab of coconut oil or a gentle moisturizer. It's a small act with a big impact. And as you build this habit, you may find yourself becoming more aware of your entire body, noticing little changes before they become big issues. That awareness is one of our greatest tools as we age, not just physically but emotionally. Because these daily acts of care reconnect us with our own bodies in a way that many of us, especially after years of putting others first, have long neglected. And since we're already diving deep into these powerful self-care practices, now's a good moment to pause and ask yourself, are you finding value in this? If what you've heard so far is helping you think differently about your daily routine, and if you're starting to feel a little more empowered in the process, consider hitting that subscribe button. This channel is all about sharing real, practical, life-improving tips for folks like us, those of us who've been around the block a few times and aren't ready to be pushed aside. We're building a community of seniors who care for each other, share wisdom, and believe in thriving, not just surviving. Subscribing isn't just about keeping up with videos. It's about joining a movement of folks who are choosing to age, actively, with intention and dignity. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give the video a like if it's resonating with you. And don't be shy about sharing your own experience in the comments. I read everyone. Now, we've talked about ears, feet, privates, underarms, and belly buttons, but don't think we're done yet. There's one final piece that ties it all together, one deeper insight that reveals why these habits truly matter, not just for hygiene, but for longevity, strength, and even self-esteem. We're going to explore that in our final part, and I've got a story to share there that changed the way I think about aging entirely. Stay with me. You won't want to miss how this all comes full circle. And here we are, my friend, the final stretch. The part where we bring everything together and wrap it in a bow that's not just decorative, but deeply meaningful. Because this isn't really about ears or feet or belly buttons, is it? It's about reclaiming a kind of self-respect that can quietly slip through our fingers as the years go by. Especially when the world starts treating us like we've become invisible. But I assure you, you're not invisible to me, and certainly not to the body that's carried you all this way. So let's talk about one last body part you absolutely must give attention to each and every day. Your skin. Yes, all of it. Not just patches here and there, but the skin as your body's largest organ, your armor, your boundary, your story, written in wrinkles and sunspots and laugh lines. You see, when we were younger, we didn't think twice about our skin. It bounced back, it glowed, it healed fast. But as we age, it gets thinner, drier, more vulnerable, and if we neglect it, we're not just looking a little more weathered. We're opening the door to infections, bruising, and painful cracks that can quickly turn into something more serious. I'll tell you about my friend Manuel, a Korean War veteran who used to joke that his skin was tougher than a tank. But even he admitted that by the time he hit 80, a simple bump into the kitchen counter could leave a bruise the size of a grapefruit. And one winter, he ignored a dry patch on his calf until it split open and got infected. He ended up in the hospital for 3 days over something that could have been avoided with a bit of lotion and awareness. And here's the thing. Our skin communicates with us. When it's itchy, it's asking for moisture. When it's red or hot, it's asking for attention. When it bruises easily, it may be asking for dietary support or a change in medication. But in order to hear those signals, we need to look at it, really look, daily. Not in a fearful way, but with kindness, like checking in on an old friend. I've made it a habit every morning when I get dressed to just glance over everything, from my shins to my elbows to my back with a mirror if I have to. And once a week I sit down with some cocoa butter or almond oil, and I just take 5 minutes to gently rub it in. Not because I'm trying to look 40 again, but because I deserve to feel good in the skin that's done so much for me. And I'll be honest with you, those 5 minutes are often the most peaceful part of my day. It's like I'm telling my body, thank you for carrying me this far. I see you. I appreciate you. And let me tell you, that simple act of self-recognition, of choosing to care for your body, not out of vanity, but out of dignity, has changed the way I walk through the world. I stand up a little straighter. I smile a little more at strangers. I feel more connected to the woman I was and more accepting of the woman I've become. So yes, wash and care for your skin every day, not just for cleanliness, but as a practice of gratitude. And now that we've talked about all these parts, ears, feet, privates, underarms, belly buttons, and skin itself, I want you to see the bigger picture here. These aren't isolated chores, they're habits of attention. They're ways we tune in, honor ourselves, and take back control in a world that sometimes feels like it's moving on without us. I want you to remember something important. Longevity isn't just about how long we live, it's about how well we live. And wellness starts with the small things. Washing these 5 body parts may seem simple, but over time, they make a profound difference in how we feel, how we heal, and how we relate to our own bodies. So, take what you've learned here and apply it today. Don't wait for a scare or a doctor's warning. Do it because you're worth it, because your health is worth protecting, and because the best years of your life aren't behind you. They're just better when you're present for them, body and mind. And if this video resonated with you, I want to invite you once more. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We've got more videos coming that go even deeper into senior health, daily habits, independence tips, and real talk about aging with strength and heart. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one part of your daily routine you're going to improve starting today? Drop it in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else. And hey, if you got value from this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps other folks in our age group find it. We're building something here, a community of wise, curious, empowered elders who are still learning, still growing, and still laughing. Because we're not done yet, not by a long shot. Thanks for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself today. You've earned it.